So I want to welcome now the very first speaker of our talks, and I'm very proud to announce that this is going to be Luis Alegre, who is the Chief Technology Officer of ATM here in Barcelona. And he has some major success already. In the past, he was the first person in Barcelona who implemented a pedestrian way where no cars were allowed. Then he's the person who is currently working on the interconnection between the tramvias in Barcelona over the diagonal part. And he's the first person writing or being responsible from the technical part of the mobility plan on a regional level of whole Barcelona to improve the sustainable mobility. So please have a warm welcome for Luis Alegre on stage to give us a broad overview. Thank you very much, and the stage is yours.
Thank you. Well, I must say that after hearing Focal, I think I must want, or we want to like energy. Well, thank you for inviting us to talk to you about the future of the mobility. I think not in Barcelona, everywhere. Of course, it's not the same any place in Europe or in the rest of the world, but there are some topics that we can share and agree that they are the topics that in the future are going to be our drivers in some way. Who we are, ITM Consortium. ITM Consortium is an intergovernmental consortium that coordinates public transport in the region of Barcelona. The region of Barcelona, it's more or less more than 5 million people, inhabitants. Also, well, the consortium is composed by Generalitat de Catalunya, Catalan government, the Town Council of Barcelona, and the metropolitan area of Barcelona, and also the municipalities around Barcelona that have public transport. What are our missions? Very quick. One of our missions is planning. Planning what? Infrastructures and mobility. Infrastructures and mobility. And mobility, it's new for this kind of, for the consortium. And we now are in the time of our next mobility master plan, 2013-2018. Management of the metropolitan tram network. He was introducing. Today we have presented the connection of the 2 tram lines in Barcelona, the project of the connection. Government all around the financing of the public transport and the program contracts with the contracts with the transport operators. And last but not least, fair integration and promotion of integrated and communication systems, especially the new system, the tariff systems with contactless that is going to be, I hope, in the metropolitan region next year. Future of the mobility, I was thinking, which are the drivers of the future sustainable mobility? Which are the challenges? In my opinion, one is pollution, another one is climate change, another one is energy. But also there is one, for me, very important, is social inclusion in an aging society. I must say that if you go to the north of Europe, they are going to say, social inclusion, this is not a mobility matter. I went last week there, we were talking about the drivers of the mobility for another topic, say that. And then new technologies world, energy, of course, and congestion, and one that for me it's individual mobility growth. We are the same people during the last 5 or 6 years in the metropolitan region, and the number of trips is increasing. Of course, there are tourism, but of course, there are the people move more every year. I don't know why, but they move more. So these drivers, the consortium established some objectives or goals. These are the ones, some of them. There are more, and most are trying to reduce the emissions, trying to reduce the casualties, trying to reduce the use of the private car. And to do that, we established common strategies that I think they are going to be the next 10 years, more or less, the drivers that we are going to have. Which ones? For the future of the sustainable mobility. Well, these are urban planning, air quality. We are going to talk all of them. And in my opinion, at least these ones are important. Sure, there are some others, but these ones. One, urban planning. What's happened today? It's the last years. Urban sprawl, you say. Still urban sprawl? Yes. We still have people that goes from the inner city, but not only the city of Barcelona, around the city of Barcelona, they go outside. But we went to Oslo, they explain the same. If you go to Stockholm, they explain the same. You go to Hamburg, they explain the same. But if you go to Paris, they explain the same. I know that this is a European problem, maybe, or a rich country problem. But for us, it's a very important problem. Second, mobility as an input. As an input in the urban planning, this is for us a problem. Mobility needs to be in the core thinking of the urban planners. And third, disaggregate land uses. Still disaggregate land uses. You know what is IKEA? Where is IKEA? The last IKEA establishment in Barcelona, in Sabadell. Where? In a junction, not in the inner of Sabadell. In a junction. The same as 20 of, where is Amazon? The same. Where is, well, Amazon is normally, no? But IKEA, no. So it's the same. In which is going to be the future, I hope. Densification in transport nodes, not Barcelona, medium densification. Urban and mobility planning together. We tried. We are working on that with people of the Catalan government. A mixture of land uses. And I must say that it's not easy to do. We have a regulation in Catalonia that each plan, urban plan, has to be a mobility plan together. But it's after, not the same moment. You say the plan, the urban plan, and then say, well, now we're going to be the mobility, how to do a sustainable mobility. No, it has to be since the beginning. Next topic, air quality. Well, I think, you know, a lot of big cities in Europe have problems of air quality. These problems are concentrated in the most dense areas, but not only in the center of the cities. Are going to see that. What we have, all vehicles and diesel vehicles, not all and diesel, not all diesel. What we have, no regional awareness. If you go to a city outside of Barcelona, and you go there, explain, we have a problem of pollution, your car can come to Barcelona. Why my car can come to Barcelona? The problem is of the people of Barcelona, it's from me. And high levels of pollutants. What we are going to the future? I think, sure, mobility restrictions. Sorry for the people with cars, that they only use cars, but there are going to be mobility restrictions. Fostering the renewal of the vehicles, increased consciousness of the population. And there are alerts. If you go to internet and you put alerts of pollution, you're going to find hundreds of cities that together, they share the information about these kinds of problems. Next one, inequality. This is really quick. It's a problem of mobility, yes, but what I explained, excuse me, no, I have to say, how do you explain that? There, it was this one, no? This one, it's a problem here, no. this car, when goes here, makes a problem. There are 40 municipalities that they have the problem today. And it's only Barcelona, it's 40 municipalities. And there are not only, you only have to work with mobility, typical mobility, no. We need teleworking, we need flexible work timetables, we need per-hour tariff, and we need high-quality tolls. And I must say, there is now a political, I don't know how to say, there are people that are pushing to change the schedules of the schools to concentrate them from the morning 8 to 12 or to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, all with the same schedule. Because it's an European, I'm not sure, a schedule. For us, it's going to be a problem regarding mobility, because everybody is going to be in the same peak hour. Decarbonization. Well, I think it's very easy to explain. Fuel consumption, increase of decarbonization. And this is a friend of mine make this drone that is more or less the tons of CO2 that in 1 year can make a city as Barcelona. No? This is the city, it is the tons of CO2. To explain that is a big problem, and we need to clean vehicles, efficient logistics system, active mode at the top. We are working on that too. I don't know. Well, to explain something that is happening, that is increasing the mobility with cars since 2 years ago. It's increasing, and it's so increasing that even that the vehicles are more efficient, the evolution is the CO2 is growing in the region after 6 years of going down. Decarbonization, you can do a lot of things. Since developing a cycle network, improve the capacity and efficiency of the rail network, or increase vehicle occupancy and car sharing systems. To say some things that are absolutely common, and they can help only for decarbonization. No, they can help for decarbonization, for health matters, and for everything. Intermodality, current situation. One, there's a lot of things, but I want to point out only one. Disconnected mobility networks. This is going to change in the future, sure. Sure. And for us, mobility networks should be connected, and it would say bike, car, trains, buses are the same thing. All the networks must be. And this problem is that when I have to project networks of railways, study railways. Then I go to the roads, I study the roads. Then I go to the bus, I study the bus. This is the end of this. They must be connected and studied connected. And the same, the smart connectivity with the users. Connection of the networks with the users. I know this is something that we are working now in that moment. E-mobility. I know that someone is going to talk a lot about e-mobility, but I need to say, because my question at the end of my speech is going to be about e-mobility, that e-mobility the improvements are especially in the city. And you need e-mobility in all the region and in all Europe. And that is very important. It's like the smart city. This is something we have been working a lot. A smart city where? A smart city, a smart region, a smart country. And this is a problem. You have very good APPs of transport in Barcelona, but when you go outside of Barcelona, 50 kilometers outside, not. That's absolutely incredible for me. So we have to change that. The future, we have to spread across the region all these questions. Smart cities, e-mobility, everything. And it's possible. You need to work synergic. You need to work together. You need to work in a, what we say, in a network, could be. What more? E-mobility. The smart grid system, for me this is very important, to build a grid, to build a real grid. This is something very interesting that I was talking in Hamburg last week, because they are trying to do that. They are thinking the e-mobility not as a cars e-mobility, buses e-mobility, no. They are trying to do an e-mobility grid for everything, or the electrical vehicle charging networks. Maybe you have seen these charging points. Well, I'm not sure this is a good idea, the charging points. In the new Diagonal of Barcelona, in the city, in the center of the city, that we want to throw away the vehicles, we put charging points. So the vehicle, not 5 minutes, has to be in the middle of the street, 20 minutes or 15 minutes, I don't know. It's crazy. But the same problem is for the buses. If you put a charging point, what is good for buses? Buses are flexible. If you begin to put charging points, buses are not flexible, or not as flexible as today. Things like that. Now there are people that is working, for instance, in Stockholm, they are working with buses, induction electrical buses. They are more expensive than that, but it's a good idea. They are thinking about that. Heavy truck, e-mobility. Sweden, this is working fantastic. We were with them. A lorry with a catenary, you say a catenary in the middle of the road? Yes. And they don't need to stop like the tram system, no. They go at 80 kilometers per hour, they up the pantograph, and they get information. 4 minutes? Okay. And this is the bus with, this is the bus with induction system. There is no anything, only behind the bus, in the ground, there's a small box, no bus, it's not very big box, and give the energy to the bus. Equity as important as the others. Asian society, poverty, immigrants, non-digital citizens, lack of public transport in low-density areas. This must to be arranged in the future. At least in the southern Europe, we have a lot of these problems. Which is going to be the future? Accessible, intermodal chain accessible, on-demand bus systems, a smart city to everybody in all the region. This must be the future, sure. It couldn't be to have a very smart, clean, everything you want to say of the transport system that allow people not to get on the bus or the train. That's not possible. That's not possible in a society. Of course, what we can explain, in Catalonia we are very good in accessibility, very good in accessibility. But there are still things to do. People who need, especially, for instance, we have been working in, we have studied the APPs of the telephones for blind people. And we have found that we have today in Europe, we have regulation for the websites, 3As, 2As, and 1A. But there is no for APP, for the telephone. And the future is the mobile. Blind people go with the mobile and can do everything with the mobile, but mobile must be absolutely accessible. This is innovation, this is things to do it. Equity, a different idea. People, users have personalized needs and desires. Future mobility have to address to the needs of the people. Get what the people need. User rights to get reliable information. Disruptions. I read a survey in England about disruptions, and the people say the problem is not disruption. We understand there are disruptions. The problem is that we arrive there and we don't know what to do. That anybody, with my mobile, anybody has sent me an alert to tell me Don't go to the place that there are problems. And at the end, but last not least, democracy. Placing people in the core of the mobility decisions. I hope this is going to be the future. Participatory strategy to make individual actions the most powerful tool. That's what we have learned with the smart wall. Sharing the future, customers orientation, of course, and agreements. Everything together. So my last, despite the explicit commitment and major improvements in sustainable mobility that have been made by the Catalonian government system, or the Catalan transport system, excuse me, there is considerable room for improvement and for the implementation of new projects to achieve a better and efficient sustainable mobility in the future. Thank you.